The Smashing Pumpkins just released their 13th studio album, Aghori Mhori Mei, and as a band that I had totally written off until very recently, I was a little bit curious about if they could capture the old magic back and make me fall in love with them again. When Siamese Dream came out in 1993, it was something totally new and different from anything else that was being made at the time. I loved the energy and the sound, and that album was just like a banger from start to finish, and I was kind of convinced that this would be the future of metal and rock. I also liked Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, and to some extent I liked Adore, but somehow after that the love faded, and in the last 2-3 albums I could listen to 2 to 3 songs at most. And I had seen them 2008 live in Copenhagen on a concert that was awful, so I had kind of given this band up for good. Now, those of you who know my channel, you also know that I'm a concert addict and I see over 100 bands live per year. So when it was announced that the Smashing Pumpkins were coming to town, I lost control over my addiction and I bought tickets. Long story short, guys, they fucking nailed it, and you can actually see my concert review up here. Now, after that amazing live performance, I was pretty sure that the new album would at least not be a synth-pop album like the recent albums have been, but beyond that, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew what I wanted misery meets metal, but beyond that, I had no clue. So when I read that Billy Corgan said that they were gonna try to kind of revisit the past without repeating it, doing it in a new way somehow, I was sure that they were trying to get me to fall in love with them again. So with that in mind, I started listening to the album, and the first song, Eden, starts off very well. Super cool guitar riffs in the beginning, very heavy stuff, and I'm like, fuck, they're back. But then the song kind of mellows out in the middle. I mean, that's kind of a known formula for them, at least on Siamese Dream and some of those older albums. And it picks up again, but it feels that it drags out and becomes a little bit repetitive. And then I checked it, it's 6 minutes and 46 seconds. This is the first track on the album. It could have worked, but it should not have been the first one. It should have been the last one, and more on the last track later. The next song on the album, Pentagram, starts off with a super cool kind of a black metal guitar pick. It uses a scale that, yeah, belongs better on a black metal album than on a Smashing Pumpkins album, but then they bring it kind of back to familiar territory somehow. And it's a long song, it's 6 minutes, 26 seconds, or something like that, but it just goes so many places and has so many varieties in it that you actually don't feel it as a long song. And I have to say, after a lot of listens on this album, this is the standout track for me. What I notice immediately after the first 2 songs is the production quality. That's just amazing. It has this nostalgic sound somehow and that feel, but in a modern way somehow. It's a crispy sound. Everything is super clear. It's really cool. Not as compressed as it used to be back in the days. So 2 tracks in and I'm still pretty happy. And then song number 3, that's the only single that was released of the album. Actually released yesterday along with the album. That has a funny name if you're Icelandic. It's called Sig Hommi, and I'm not gonna even explain what that means. But that's kind of right out of the 90s playbook, straightforward rocker, a good song, you know, just under 3 minutes. It's on song number 4, Pentecost, that they make sure to remind me why I stopped loving it. It's a very synth-driven, melancholic song, not a bad song, but just doesn't really fit after those 3 bangers that the album started with. But it's songs like Pentecost that kind of remind you whose band this is. This is the Billy Corgan show. He sings, he plays the bass on this album, he plays the guitars. I mean, he's got Jimmy Chamberlin on the drums and he's got James Iha on the guitars with him. And then they have Katie Cole in backing vocals, but this is very much Billy Corgan's album. And he's doing a good job. He sings really well, his guitar playing is great, and as I said before, the sound is amazing. Obviously, Jimmy being this beast of a drummer that he is, so there is nothing wrong with any of those things. So the album runs 10 tracks, about 45 minutes or something like that, and it kind of is an experience of going up and down. You get really worked up, you're rocking and you're having fun, and then comes some synth song and some very dramatic singing from Billy Corgan, and that kind of pulls you down. And the last song, for example, on the album called More Now, it's a misfit as well, and it's not definitely kind of the vibe that I wanted to leave this album with. Before the verdict, there is an Amazon affiliate link in the description below to the vinyl version of this album, so check that out, guys. Now, the pros of this album is that it's nostalgic but still fresh, and I think that was kind of what Billy Corgan wanted to achieve with this album, and I think he does that pretty well. But the songwriting is really good, but I still feel sometimes that some of the songs are being played with the wrong instrument. The production quality is just amazing, and the rockers, they are really rockers. Now, the negatives. Definitely needs more guitars and less synths, and I think in some way I feel that this album is trying to be too wide, it's trying to be too much somehow. Both the old Siamese Dream stuff, Gish stuff, and then also some more of the recent stuff. Now, the song order, it would have been better with a shorter starter, a better finisher, and maybe, yeah, let us rather go to sleep for 2 songs in the middle of the album than to kind of pull us down when we're rocking. Overall, I'm not fully in love, but I have some feelings, and I think this album is a step in the right direction. So I'm actually gonna give this album 8 out of 10. I think it's kind of a bridge between the old fans and the new fans, and maybe this album will actually have a much wider appeal than Siamese Dream would have, or the latest albums. Now, I'd be very happy if you'd like this video and subscribe to my channel for more album reviews, concert reviews and interviews. And then please tell me what you think about this album in the comments, and then I want to tell you about this video when I went to see the Smashing Pumpkins live the other day. You can check out that video here.